Hi everyone and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk about the formal fallacy of denying the conjunct. So the formal fallacy has this structure: not both P and Q, which is symbolized by the not being outside of the parentheses, so not P and Q. Premise 2 is not P, and the conclusion is Q. So remember that a fallacy means this is incorrect reasoning, so it's not okay to deduce Q from these two premises. And part of this assignment is about trying to figure out why that's an invalid deduction. So let's just look at a verbal example. So it is not the case that I both go to the movies and get popcorn, right? So not both movies and popcorn. I didn't go to the movies. So that seems to be like the not P, right? Therefore, I got popcorn. Okay, so is this true? Can you find a way to think about this as being false? You can maybe try to mess with that to think if you can find an example where it doesn't necessarily follow. Now, I want to look at the truth table because this is kind of the thing that proves the invalidity. So let's look at it. So the way that you want to do it is if you're trying to prove that something is invalid, the best way to go about doing it is look at premise 1, look at premise 2, look at the conclusion. If the premises are true, but the conclusion is false, that means you can construct a situation where it doesn't follow, right? So let's look at all four cases. So both true, both false, and a mixture. And the goal is to fill in this truth table to see if you can find a situation where the premises are true and the conclusion is false. So it's kind of, it takes a couple steps, but if you write it out like this, you should be able to know the rules and fill it in. So remember, this is not the value of P and Q. So I'll fill it in. Let's just see what it looks like. So P and Q, this is true, the whole P and Q statement. I'm not including this negation here. P and Q is true when both pieces are true, which means that if it was just P and Q here, this would be true. But it's not P and Q, which means that this is false. And let's capitalize that. This is false. So the way I'm doing this is I'm thinking about P and Q, and whatever value I get, I flip it. Right? That's what this negation is saying. So true and false, well, one of them is false, which means the value is false. I'm negating that false. So that's true. Right? Same idea here. False and true, that would lead to false within the parentheses, and negation of false is true. And then finally, false and false. Well, if the conjunction, both pieces are false, that means that the outside, after you negate it, would be true. Now, not P. Remember, not P is just the negation of P. So I have true, true, false, false. What that means here is I have false, false, true, true, right? I'm flipping the value of P because it's not P, right? Everything gets flipped. And Q, we already have Q right here. We can just pretty much copy that in. This is the conclusion. So the question is there a situation where the premises are true and the conclusion is false? And the answer to that is yes. Right here. Premise 1 is true, premise 2 is true, the conclusion is false. So right here demonstrates that this is actually a fallacy. So maybe we'll put it in yellow. This is a fallacy. So if I scroll down just a little bit, I put right here, you kind of can't read it, but I put right here, the goal is to find a situation where the premises are true and the conclusion is false. So I already said that. So it's supposed to say find a row, but it's kind of cut off. So we found that row right here. This is it. So don't look at this piece because these are not the premises. This is why I labeled the table this way, right? Premise 1, premise 2, conclusion. Premise 1 is true, premise 2 is true, conclusion is false. So you can make a proof. This is a truth table proof. You can say, hey, when P and Q are both false, these work out. It works out in this way where premise 1 is true, premise 2 is true, but the conclusion is false. This is it. This is the proof. So the key in this assignment, the key in being able to understand all these fallacies, is starting from the formal fallacy, the verbiage, put it into premise, conclusion form. After you have premise, conclusion form, make a truth table. The way that I tend to do it is I put the variables just to get the variables started, and then I put P1, P2, and conclusion, and I just write it out. And it takes a little bit of work to go through this column specifically, but once you kind of get used to it and go through step by step, you can do it in pieces if you want to. Once you do it step by step, it's not that hard. It just takes practice like everything else. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope it's helpful. I want to make sure that everybody who has Denying the Conjunct can look at it. This is pretty much the entire thing, but the key is being able to explain it and being able to understand why this works. That would be the key. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can leave me a comment on YouTube and I'll see it, or whatever works for you. You can like the video, you can send me an email, all those kinds of things. Thanks so much. Bye.